All right, so a couple weeks ago I talked about how winning sucks, right? Well, here's the other thing. Losing kind of sucks too, by the way, if you haven't ever done it, right? Most of you probably have. This week, and once again, I'm just going to do a really quick brief review of what happened in baseball because, of course, those were always so personal to us. Boys played somewhat okay, and then we experienced our first loss, like in the semifinal game, and it sucked. Like, it was painful. It was not fun at all. We ended up, unfortunately, playing a team where, dude, they were just good. Like, they were fundamentally good. They were really a great team. Their coaches sucked and their parents really sucked. So that's kind of what made it suck a little bit, right? And as we were going through the emotions of things that were like out of our control, have you ever had one of those days where like no matter what you did, it was always the wrong thing? Like, no matter what decision you made, it was always the wrong decision. Like, if you made a phone call because you were going to go and purchase something, you were 2 phone calls too late, and they'd already sold whatever it was that you were looking at, right? Or when you went into line to go get gas, and you're at the stoplight, and you knew that all of them were open, and then as soon as the light turned green, then like 75 cars somehow magically appeared in the gas line, and they're like 3 deep on every one of them, right? Like, no matter what you did, it was wrong. And that was kind of what happened in that game. No matter what the boys did, even though they tried, they just couldn't do the right thing. The other team would have these bloop hits, and when we would hit it hard, they'd make a diving catch, and we would never score a run. And so we just kind of ran into that scenario where no matter what we did, it seemed like we were going to lose no matter what, right? And isn't that kind of a little bit like life sometimes, where you just, once again, you just feel like, God, the odds are always stacked against me. Are they going to change? Are things going to happen? And as we know, our in-house photographer for the Crush is April. And so as I was looking at pictures, trying to find pictures of us losing, I couldn't find any. Like, out of the 4,000 pictures that she puts online, I couldn't find one of us when we were losing. And so I was like, okay, so I'm just going to start reflecting on like things, and were pictures that I took of probably things like the picture of me losing my first listing. I couldn't find it. There was no picture of me losing my first listing. Now it's like, okay, well, what about when I completely failed at coaching? And believe me, I've done that many times, whether it was personal coaching or there was coaching with the boys in either in their games, whether it was baseball or football or basketball, the opportunities that I've had to do. And so this is what I found. I found nothing. I found no pictures of me failing at the things that I was doing or losing at the things that I was wanting to compete at. I looked up for pictures of James. You know that elk that you tried? That was a trophy elk, and it was going to be in Boone and Crockett, and he missed the shot. And here's the picture. Couldn't find the picture. But I looked for Facebook. Okay, so I said, okay, I will find a picture on Facebook of people losing. And as I scrolled through Facebook, I didn't find one picture of anybody losing on Facebook. So then I said, okay, I'm going to do like images of people losing. And I couldn't find any images of people losing. Isn't it that interesting that we only share the winning experiences? We only share the times where life is really amazing and good, and here's how we won. But we never show a picture about how we lost something. Now, when we lose a person or we lose something like that, you see the pain, and people are open to sharing that, but not a loss. You'd never hear anybody in Casper Realtor say, hey, I just experienced losing a listing. We never say that. We never talk about that unless it's a one-on-one coaching opportunity. But here's the thing, that losing sets up our best victories. If we had that mentality, that losing actually sets up our best victories, it really kind of changes our perspective. But I want to go over the pros and cons of losing because, of course, as many of us have experienced losing, we have a tendency to weigh everything on the cons, and we really don't highlight the pros of what can really happen. So the pros, as I was thinking about this last night, the cons on this is that, man, losing, like, it hurts. Like, emotionally, it hurts. So I was kind of reviewing like what that loss was like on Sunday, because we believed that we should have been in the championship game. We were 2 for 2 already in tournaments, and knowing that, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to be 3 for 3, because we knew what we were capable of doing. And if we could just turn that corner, if we could just turn that dial up, we were going to be in the championship game and facing the other team and more than likely winning because we were poised and positioned to win the game. But it hurts when you don't. It's a humbling experience as well too, right? For those of you that have lost at something in your life, whether it was a listing or whether it was a buyer presentation, whether it was a contract, whether it was something personal in your life and you lost at that goal, it was kind of a humbling experience because, you know, when you're on cloud nine and you're winning all the time and you think that you're amazing, when you don't, gosh, it can be very defeating. It exposes our self-control, or I would say lack thereof. How many times have maybe you or somebody that you know lost and their self-control was pretty shameful? Or they did things you're like, man, I didn't really picture you handling it as bad as you did. We've all seen that. We've all experienced that. That is a battle that I face, you guys. That is one of those demons inside of me that I continue to have to control and to temper. It takes a lot of reflection, right? How many of you, when you have a loss in your life, or you might sit on it for days, and all you do is think of that time. You just think of like what happened, and you replay it. How many times in your head? Thousands of times in your head. You retell that story thousands of times of that situation and what happened and what was said or what was not said, or your perception of this, or how this could have changed if you'd have done this differently, or maybe if they would have reacted this way, this would have been a different story. It means being honest with yourself. And you guys, listen, if you haven't done this very often, this is the most painful part, being honest with yourself. Nobody wants to be honest with ourselves. We want to convince ourselves of the story that we're telling ourselves is the true story. And oftentimes, it's not the true story. It's the version of the story that we hear, but it's not necessarily the real story, the true story. And it reveals the worst in you. And I say this like with full like honesty, like it does. Like when you lose, like, you know, we have two beasts inside of us, right? The really good people, the really good thing that is the healthy part of us, but it's also there's the bad part of us as well too. And if you've taken the Enneagram, you know that there's like the really healthy part of us, and then there's the real bad part of us. And in my life, like when I'm really healthy, I'm the ice cream truck that we talk about, and then when I'm not healthy, I'm like the snowplow, and that's not good. Right? So there's two beasts inside each one of us, and some of us do an amazing job of controlling that. And maybe some of us are challenged with that, and that's a challenge that I am constantly faced with when it comes to competing and wanting to win at everything in life, by the way. But the pros, here are the pros of what is good about losing in our life. And that's kind of like, really, there's something positive that can come out of losing in our life? Absolutely, there can be. Right? It builds humility in our life. Man, it is. Have you ever been around somebody where you just, God, they got great humility. They've had tremendous success in their life, and when you're around them, you feel like you're almost a little bit of an equal, and you feel like, man, I want to be around a person like this more and more. And gosh, they got such amazing humility in their life. Right? It grows self-control too, right? So for those of you that have experienced losses in your life and maybe you've learned from that, you realize like the old person maybe didn't have the self-control they do as the new person has now, right? And hopefully that's something that has changed in your life where you have more self-control, because man, when you have self-control, there is power behind self-control. It creates self-reflection. Like when you lose, you're required to have self-reflection, but the good thing is that when you have self-reflection, you actually get to become a better person through it, right? You don't just see the negativity out of it. You have self-reflection to say, how do I improve this situation so first of all, it never happens again? Or how do I improve the situation so if it does happen again, I react in a better way, that I react in a way that I can be proud of, because that is my example. It can reveal the best in you. Right? When you lose something that maybe is out of your control, or maybe you lose something, let's just say, once again, we go back to a listing presentation, and when you lose it and you have complete humility and you're able to call that seller up and you're able to say, hey, listen, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity to earn your business, and I know that I wasn't the right fit for you now. But I'd love an opportunity to understand what I could do better in the future, because here's the thing, I want to be successful in this industry. And I want to provide the best for my clients. And I want to learn from this opportunity. So could you just give me honest feedback? And I don't care how bad it hurts, and I don't care how much might have been terrible at the beginning. I don't want to hear, I did a great job and you just chose somebody else. I really want to understand what I could do to bring more value and I could be better from this. That's how you reveal the best in you. That's how you show humility. That's how you improve. That's how you stop losing. It trains you to be the best. When you lose more and more and you do all these other steps, it trains you to be the best that you can be. And then it shapes your substance. I just love this, right? Like, we are all made of something. We're going to be made of either really good things or going to be really made of really bad things. And all of us have kind of a mixture of both, but what do you want more of? Hopefully you want more of the good things in your life. So how do you do this? How do you create this best self through losing and these opportunities? One is, it says, I think you have to get uncomfortable. And losing is really uncomfortable, by the way. It's not fun. But get uncomfortable. Raise your stakes. Not every day and not all the time, but get uncomfortable. For those of you that watched not podcast, but the video I said yesterday, a good friend of mine, we did the Murph together yesterday, and it got uncomfortable. That was like for him, it was a very uncomfortable space because he's never done it before. And I've done it way too many times to count, but it was uncomfortable for him. But it was great because he knew that he wanted to get uncomfortable, and he made a comment. He goes, that was as bit as a comfortableness as I thought it was going to be. And how awesome was that? Because he knew he grew yesterday. He did something that he'd never done before, and he did something that he didn't know he was capable of doing, and he did it. And now he's motivated to do it again. Surround yourself with pushers and pullers. Pushers and pullers, right? Sometimes you have to be pushed. Sometimes you need somebody there to push you up that hill. Sometimes you need somebody to push you to go do something that's uncomfortable. Sometimes you need people to continue to push you to chase after these dreams that you desire to accomplish. But sometimes you need to be pulled, right? When you have a loss, somebody needs to sometimes pull you up from that loss. When you have heartbreak or something happens in your life and it's just an overwhelming challenge, you don't have to do life alone, as we've talked about before. But so sometimes you have to have somebody pull you up. And so surround yourself with pushers and pullers in your life. And here's the other thing is, don't settle. Too many of us settle too much. Raise your standards. Raise your standards. You want to become your best self? You want to rise above your losses? Stop settling. Stop settling with your friends. And this is a hard thing, by the way. And I don't want to go too much detail on this, but understand that the people that you surround yourself, they're good people. They love you, right? They don't understand that maybe they're hurting you. They don't maybe understand that they're holding you back. They're good people because they're family, they're friends. There's people that you've known since high school, right? But here's the thing is that you're not the same person you were in high school or college or hopefully a couple years ago or hopefully even last year, right? So if you continue to settle for the areas in your life, such as your friends, is it any wonder that you're not changing at the rate that you want to or exceeding the things that you want to in your life? Don't settle for the people sitting at your table too. So you've got your friends, but then you got your table. You got the people sitting at your table that you've invited in, that have given authority, that you've given authority in your life that will help you as you move forward in your life. Don't settle. Don't just try to fill the table. Be very selective in the people that you allow to sit there. And then don't settle. This is the most powerful one of it. Don't settle with yourself. You know, the friends thing, that can take a while to change. Finding the right people at your table can take a little bit of time too. But when you don't settle for yourself, with yourself, that can happen immediately. Right? You can stop it right now. You can stop it today. You can stop it as soon as this meeting is over. You can stop settling in your life. It's a choice that you can make. And you're all fully capable of doing it. And because here's why I know you're all fully capable of doing it, because I am around so many people that continue to do that. They continue to elevate themselves. They continue to not settle anymore in their lives. The moment you accept responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you gain the power to change anything in your life. I've said this before, and you hear me say it all the time, you guys. 100% responsibility. And it is so worth repeating. You know, when we lost that game, so a couple of things in the background here. We lost the game, but the coaches, on the other hand, were really a challenge. Like really super a challenge. In fact, Jason got called by the umpire to say, hey, you guys really need to just settle down because I'm going to kick somebody out. Right? And prior to the game, not really knowing that was a big deal, it was 12 o'clock and we played at a 1 o'clock, we had a 1 o'clock game. At 12 o'clock, we saw parents literally at the CYB fields drinking. And I'm like, all right, cool, so whatever to be there. Well, unfortunately, they became complete a-holes throughout the game. And it was a good game. It was 1-1 going into the 5th inning. It was a great game, great baseball. All boys were playing great on both teams. It was a great game. But what was happening is under pressure, their coaches and their fans were getting revealed and all of the bad things that were literally inside of them. All of the things that they needed worked on were getting revealed as the pressure continued to weigh on them. And then when they finally went up, when we made an error and they finally went up on us, it was finally relief and they were like, oh no, things are great now. But isn't that what kind of life is like in our life? When the pressure is on, we have the most stress, and when we get squeezed, that bad stuff can kind of come out. But yeah, when everything is good and you're winning, man, you're the nicest person in the world, aren't you? You're the greatest person in the world. Everybody wants to be around you. I would challenge you, what do you like when you're losing? Do people want to be around you when you're challenged, when you're stressed out? Do people still want to be around you because of the person and the example that you're giving? How you act in losses shows who you truly are in life. This is a hard truth, and this is something that I don't like, and this is something I'm uncomfortable with too. Because I know the past me, I know who I am when I lose. But it reveals who you really are in life when you lose. It reveals what you really value in life and how you hold yourself. So how do you act when you lose? I couldn't find the picture, but this was a picture of 2 games prior to that. Whether we win or whether we lose, we always get together after the game. In fact, I almost look forward to the challenge, to the intestinal fortitude that we have to have after a loss, to be this team, to be this group, to be these coaches. Because when you lose, it truly shows you who you are in your life. And so if you ever come watch us and we lose, you will see us circle around the mountain. And you will see us appreciate the other team. We will honor the coaches. We will honor the umpires and the parents. And we will love on the boys. Because at the end of the day, it is just a loss. You haven't lost at life. You just lost a game. Or you just lost a listing. Or you just lost one opportunity. You haven't lost at life. Because we know that with that loss, it will help create our biggest and best victories of our life. And why do we do this? Because the world needs exactly who you want to be, now more than ever.